So, when you're dating someone new, should you have sex with them first or make them wait a while? I'm Liz Powell from Sex Positive Psych.
I'm Cathy Vartuli from Intimacy Dojo.
I'm Yoni Alkan from elementsofsexuality.com.
And I'm Caroline Carrington from Jewel in the Lotus Coaching.
And I'm a disembodied voice in the background.
We love our disembodied voices.
Yes. So, fuck first or wait a while.
Right, fuck first or wait a while. So I know that we have some different camps here and people who have tried different strategies. I'm a megasexual, and as a megasexual, I pretty much always fuck first.
Can you define megasexual?
Sure. So a megasexual is a person who requires sexual connection and chemistry in order to develop a romantic connection. So I have to know that sex is working with someone before I'll become romantically attached. So for me, I've actually had people that I've dated where they're one of the slow movers and they don't want to get sexual quickly. And by date 3 or 4, if we haven't had sex, I'm losing interest. Because that's part of how I am. Like, until I have that connection with you, I don't feel as deeply connected.
Can we define what you mean by sex?
Sure. So the people that I'm thinking of, all we did was kiss and cuddle.
Okay.
So I'm looking for anything that has like an intent towards orgasm, touching of any kind of erogenous zones, that sort of thing, right? So,
but it doesn't have to be fucking or intercourse.
No, it doesn't have to be intercourse. No, like it could be oral, it could be manual, it could be any of those things. Anything that moves towards orgasm or intent to orgasm would be fine.
But so it has to be goal-orientated. I'm a Tantra teacher. We get rid of the goals.
I mean, no, it doesn't have to be goal-oriented. It's that, like, there's a difference between, like, I'm touching your leg because I'm saying hi and I'm touching your leg, or, like, I'm touching your leg. Right? Where there's a sexual intent. Right. And that's more what I'm talking about. Because for lay folk, what I've seen is that when I tell them, like, sexual intent, they don't necessarily understand that terminology so much as, like, were you touching them hoping that they would have an orgasm eventually as part of what you're doing? Or were you just touching them to touch them and have physical connection?
Yeah. Or to touch them so that they could experience intense amounts of pleasure even if orgasm didn't happen.
Yes.
That's what I'm most interested in.
Yeah.
But then how would you differentiate between like the intense amounts of pleasure you get from a massage versus intense amounts of pleasure that you would count as sex?
What the intention would be.
Okay.
The differentiating factor.
So how do you know the intention?
Sometimes you would set that up. Hopefully you would set that up before you start.
So you're talking about verbal agreements.
Yeah, verbal agreements. But I think you would also know by the quality of the touch that you're receiving. And
so
context.
Well, context is a big part of it. I want to make sure we come back to the quality of the touch because I think there's a lot of people that don't know how to give different quality of touch.
Oh, that'd be a great video.
So we'll do a different one. But like for me, I'm demisexual.
Okay.
I have to have a heart connection with someone before I want to get sexual. So
we're like opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right. But I'm the same way. If I've been out on 3 or 4 dates with someone and there hasn't been some kind of chemistry, I'm like, no, why bother? And as you said earlier, if they're not good in bed, there's not a chemistry.
Why would you bother? Like, just be friends. Because the romantic relationship or sexual relationship complicates things. So if you really enjoy that person's company, by all means, enjoy their company. But if there's not a sexual connection, then leave it as friends. You'll have a much longer relationship, I think.
No, I do have a friend that Rick and I are super romantic, but we're not sexual. So it is okay to have that if you want to.
Sure.
But your relationship has been going on for a long time. Yeah. That's not like, I just met
it's not 3 dates or anything like that.
Exactly. And from a cis hetero male point of view, it's a little bit different because of the place that I'm in. But I go out on a date with someone in order to enjoy my time with them. If it gets sexual or not, it doesn't really matter. If it does, yeah, great. I'm all for it. If it doesn't get sexual after a while, and I would like it to, I would basically open a conversation about it. Because what are we doing here? We better kind of figure out why are we here.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people out there that talk about just using looks or just knowing, and I think we're all advocating using our words.
Look, I'm a terrible psychic. I'm so bad at it. Like, I'm just the worst. I've never won the lottery. Like, I'm just so bad at guessing, and I just want you to tell me. If you want me to kiss you, just, like, ask. You can even say, like, your lips look so lovely. I'd love to feel how they feel on mine. Right? Like, there are all sorts of ways to ask for what you want that are hot and sexy and fun, and not, would you like to kiss me now?
I would have to check.
Right? So you can make it awkward or you can make it sexy. And sometimes awkward is fun too.
Yeah.
True.
I also think the importance of building the container. I know I freak people out about this all the time. Like on the first day, I'm like, so what do you want to do here? And for me, that isn't necessarily about sign on the dotted line and you have to commit your life to somebody.
You are now required.
No, but like, is this a friends with benefits thing? Are we just playing around? Are you looking for a deep, long-term committed relationship? And are the two of you actually in alignment? Because for me, when I explore sexually with somebody, especially if intercourse is involved, I have a lot of attachment that shows up. So I tend to actually delay intercourse for quite a long time until I figured out if that person is actually available for the kind of attachment that I want. And that says, it may not be intercourse for you out there, but figuring out where that line is when the attachment starts running, that's been really, really helpful for me. And then I can have lots of different connections with lots of different people, but I just go, oh, we're just going to run some, it's very tantric language, but we're just going to run some energy together. We're going to breathe together. That can be a really fun date for me.
Yeah.
You're like,
no, I can't.
That can be. That's not fun at all.
No, I've had really great energy sex with people that where we never had any kind of physical touch or connection other than like maybe our hands or something, but we never touched each other, just genitals or anything, and had really, really hot energy sex.
Right. And I have lovers that I've been lovers with for 4 years, and for various reasons, they're not the right person for me to fuck. So we ride that edge. Really fun to ride that edge. But we know what the container is, and we're both really happy. We've agreed on what it is. So it actually gives more freedom.
And I think that if you bring that up on the first date, if you get serious or just talk about it and it freaks the other person out, that might be a good filter for you that this is someone that is not on your level of communication.
Right.
Granted, maybe other people will not feel like that. And
We may be outliers.
Yeah, we might be a little bit in the over-communication, but that's the way we like our lives. But yes, it could be frightening for someone, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But then it really depends. What are you looking for?
And setting those expectations is so helpful. So much of what I see folks coming to me with, and even within my friend group, was this a date or just like a friend date? Do they want to have sex with me? Now that we've had sex, do they want to date? Or do they want to just be hooking up? What are we now? Right? And they have all these questions that they ask their friends rather than asking the person with whom they're developing the relationship.
And their friends give them an answer and they decide on that, and that's the other person.
Right.
We never talked
about it. Yeah.
And that's also the reason why I approach it with, I'm here to have fun. However that fun will be, what it will look like, that's what I'm aiming for.
Sure.
I'm aiming to enjoy my time with this person.
Well, and having that information allows you to adjust your priorities.
For sure.
Because, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm very busy, right? So most of the people that I see these days, I see them once a month if we're dating, and we're not like serious dating. So I need to know like where we're at and give them that expectation as well. So most times when I'm on a first date, I'll tell people like, hey, just so you know, here's what I have available in my life right now. Something may change, and we can always talk about renegotiating that if it's not serving both of our needs anymore. But right now, this is what I have available.
That's great. Do you have anything else to add on this topic? I want to come back and talk about quality of touch.
Quality of touch. Okay.
No,
Leave comments below.